Okay, so this is the last activity in Unit 1, and it's about media. So let's just dive right in. So it's not news to you that we are constantly surrounded by media. Think about right now what media is close by. You probably have a computer, you maybe have a phone, magazine, the internet, TV, any of those things might be within arm's reach of you at any point during the day. And what we see on this type of media makes a huge impact on our everyday lives. And women who are specifically the targets are highly affected by what they see. And this creates issues such as self-esteem and body image issues. Now, the research on men is less, but we're seeing the research on both genders more and more. So in the next 10, 15 years, it will be amazing to see what differences we can find between males and females and how media affects them. So there's different ways that media can influence how you buy your everyday clothing. The main one is advertising. Its main purpose is to persuade you to buy something, and it uses emotions to make you feel these vague positive feelings. So it will show like this cute girl in this nice outfit, like having fun with her friends at the beach, and that's making you feel like, oh, I like having fun with my friends at the beach. And you really need to look for facts with advertising because they tend to try and hide it as much as possible. Celebrities also influence what we wear, especially on social media such as Instagram, where we can see an inside peek into a celebrity's life. People often consciously or subconsciously imitate celebrities, whether they think that they like them or not. Also, media can affect your clothing choices by giving us status symbols. So when we're watching a video and we see someone with Michael Kors bag, that makes us think that we could be important like the people in the movies if we have a Michael Kors bag. So that kind of segues us into film. Film has historically had a huge impact on women, and it really started in the 1920s when these desirable, like, awesome women started coming into the pictures and being noticed. Mary Pickford is a Canadian, and she was one of them. Women would go to the movies, watch these films, and see other lifestyles in these movies. And film began to mold society into a certain way. So filmmakers saw that this was a way to capitalize on people, and they could depict the new attitudes and behaviors and styles that they wanted people to see. So women still look to movie roles to see how to look, think, and act. And a lot of us think that movies mirror society, but a lot of the time, society mirrors what we see in movies. Music-wise, teenagers such as yourselves tend to get their style of dress sometimes from musicians that they like. So singer-songwriters have always been ones to set the tone for fashion trends. Lots of recording artists have had their own fashion line. Jennifer Lopez, P. Diddy Combs, Gwen Stefani, Run DMC, they've all influenced the fashion world. Fashion is also influenced by subcultures. So like rock and roll is a subculture. This idea that youth have power has happened a ton of times. So after World War II in the 1950s, Elvis Presley made a statement when he wore an unbuttoned shirt and pants. And this was huge because the youth were the ones that really, really liked Elvis Presley. The Beatles, same deal. They had a huge influence on the youth with their hipster kind of styled jeans and their ducktail hairstyles. Throughout time, we can see different artists or bands changing politics, economics, and fashion. Woodstock was a music and art festival in the 60s, and it was a huge fashion trend, and we can see the fashion trends from Woodstock coming into popular music festivals like Coachella today. A lot of the same bohemian wear is very fashionable at both events. Going back, the 1980s, new wave fashion, spandex, bright colors, ornaments, that really was popularized by like Prince, Duran Duran, Culture Club, other Other musicians such as Madonna and Cher wore lingerie as part of their just regular clothing, and that was a huge deal at the time. In the 90s, we have tracksuits, hooded t-shirts, Adidas sneakers, Marky Mark modeled for Calvin Klein. TLC had baggy drum pants. They'd wear like bandos or brassiere tops, baseball caps, and neon clothing. So the 90s is probably the closest fashion that's in fashion today. We seem to be very 90s when I'm looking down the halls at Woodruff High School. And even in popular songs, there's a lot of mention of fashion. You have Vogue, sung by Madonna, where she listed many fashion icons such as Grace Kelly, Jean Harlow, Katharine Hepburn, having style and grace. So moving on to body image, celebrities and their fashion statements affect the fashion industry because this is an example of trickle down. And researchers like to emulate celebrity idols such as Gigi Hadid. And really, this can affect how fashion is manufactured. So when really attractive people and their appearance are idealized and unrealistic, this can cause problems because a teen's worth turns into seeing her outward beauty as the most important thing instead of her inward beauty. Today's adolescents are really influenced by the media, and a lot of you identified that in your fashion reflection and shopping as a hobby and a pastime. The fashion trend for youth right now is kind of sexy and provocative. A lot of skin is being shown. This is not necessarily what schools want students to be looking like when they go to school, so there's been some issues there. There's a really great video, and I'm going to post it below, that I want you to see about school dress code, because depending on your school dress code rules might be different than others. Also, modesty fashion is on the rise, with an influx of refugees and immigrants in Canada becoming a more multicultural society. Modesty can be tied to religious beliefs, but also just personal choice. So if you do look up for information on modest apparel, we can find a lot more now than we could find in, let's say, like the early 2000s. Here's an example of a Japanese clothing retailer who kind of markets casual clothing. And they had a lifewear collection by Hana Tajima, and she created a line specifically for Muslim women as the target. So it features pleated skirts, trousers, long dresses, and then more traditional items like hijab and kabaya. And she really tried to make it colorful and printed and fun. And she wanted to make sure that there's a lot of fun things for people to wear, because this section of society is often overlooked on the runway. So hopefully you have a good idea about how fashion influences people, and we will talk later.